Okay, I'm David. I'm from the Renewable Energy Enterprise, and as mentioned, I'm going to be talking about heat pumps. There's an example of one just there, okay? Okay, so as a business, we do solar PV and battery storage, like the last chap and some other people through there. We do air source heat pumps, we do EV chargers. We're registered with the Home Installation Energy Scheme and MCS. They're our governing bodies, quangos that we put money into to make sure that all of our stuff is up to date and up to standard. Josh on the right there, well, your left is my attractive assistant, but he's stayed next door. He gets a bit stage shy. For myself, I've been doing this actually for 12 years now. I used to be in the army and went from shooting people to saving the environment. What I'll cover for you today then is what are the good parts about air source heat pumps, but what are also the bad parts, things to avoid, problems that come up, and what to look out for in the market. So what is an air source heat pump? It's an ecologically friendly way of replacing your gas boiler. Okay, so it runs off electricity, thereby meaning that if you use renewable energy for your household supply, you can come away from fossil fuels entirely. Okay. What we can do in most cases is connect it immediately to your existing pipework. So largely we can remove a gas boiler and place, with some engineering, an air source heat pump in straight away. And a lot of houses have things like microbore, 8 and 10 mil microbore, and in some cases, if it's too extensive, there have to be changes there as well. But in general terms, it works straight into your existing infrastructure. It runs at 50 degrees. The benefit of that is that, of course, you don't have to, as the gentleman mentioned earlier, heat your water up to 70 and then cool it all the way back down to 45 so that you can use it. Obviously, the disadvantage is your radiators aren't as hot and you have to make contingency for that. It does require an internal water tank, a hot water cylinder. Okay, so if you have removed your cylinder and no longer have an airing cupboard, sometimes there's some things we have to work on to make that happen. It can go in the loft. There are horizontal tanks. There are lots of ways of engineering around space issues. And it works as an excellent partnership with solar. Obviously, you're bringing something into your house that uses electricity to run, and then putting a power station on your roof seems a very sensible way to make it run. And as mentioned before, you're getting away from fossil fuels, so it does have huge environmental benefits in terms of staying away from gas. At the moment, there's something called the Boiler Upgrade Scheme from the government. What this means is that whatever the bill for your new air source heat pump, including all the work, which can be typically anything from £12,000 to £18,000, £5,000 of that is paid for you by the government. There are certain criteria around that, but those criteria are very straightforward. It's not designed for you not to get. It's one of the strange government incentives that's designed for you actually to take advantage of. Okay, there's a couple of examples of what air source heat pumps look like. Those are both Mitsubishi ones. As you can see, one's wall mounted, one's ground mounted. Some people have opinions as to which is better, but actually it doesn't really matter. Okay, so what do you need to do? In order to do an air source heat pump properly, you need to do a full heat loss calculation for your house. The vast majority of problems we come across with air source heat pumps when we're doing sort of remedial work for the governing bodies is that people haven't had that full heat loss report. So you're fitting a system that you don't know is big enough, the radiators aren't big enough, pump's not big enough, etc. So unless you get that report done initially and done properly, you can end up with a lot of issues. Okay? You do need cavity wall insulation in order to get the boiler upgrade scheme if cavity wall insulation is applicable to your house. So if you've got a solid sandstone wall or something, it isn't applicable. You need 27 centimeters of loft insulation. This will be checked. And then if the company you're working with is any good, the people actually doing the install need to turn up a few days before with a plumber and electrician and go around the project and check what needs doing to make sure it's done properly. That slide there, the aim of it is just to show you the type of information that you get. I'm not expecting you to read it, but the objective of an air source heat pump from install should be that we can more or less heat your house from 7 degrees to 18, 19, 20 degrees within about half an hour. You never actually have to do that, but that should be the objective of the pump. That's the standard it's setting. And to that end, all the different radiator sizes that are needed to make that happen are planned from the start. So we have a radiator schedule, okay? And it's just to make sure that you don't end up with a cold house. We also need to do a energy performance certificate. All right, if your energy performance certificate is only 2 years old or less, then you don't need to redo this, but we would always do it as standard anyway, because sometimes the quality of those EPCs isn't what we would hope. It'll tell you not only what the benefits or what we need to do to make sure the air source works, but it'll also give you all sorts of other, some useful and some staggeringly useless information in order to improve your house. So if you're living in the middle of Wetherby, you probably don't need to know that you could fit a 10 kilowatt wind turbine on your roof in order to improve the EPC of your house. Okay, so if you're looking to get an air source heat pump, those are the three main bodies that you should look for. HISE, Home Installation and Energy Scheme, what they do is cover all the warranties. So they make sure if your company that fits it goes bust or whatever, the warranties will be honoured by someone else. They insure payments, insure guarantees, all that kind of thing. MCS is the Microgeneration Certification Scheme. That's quality control. So anybody that is a member of that, their work has been inspected, has been checked, and it also makes sure that they can't overcharge you, and that the kit they use is the latest kit. So they can't go and buy some dodgy panels off the docks in Bristol and stick them on your roof and tell you they're really good. And then NAPIT, which is I can't remember what it stands for, but it's essentially the professional integrity. The downsides to air source, okay, the refrigerant that runs through them is not that environmentally friendly. It's got better. The new refrigerant, the R32, is only 700 times more damaging to the environment than CO2, whereas the old stuff we used to use was 2100 times more damaging. So it is a lot better, and once it's in there, it lasts for an awfully long time, so it's not like you're running around and tipping it into the local canal. The upfront cost, changing a gas boiler, how much is it roughly to put a new gas boiler in? 2.5, 3 grand. Okay, so to fit one of these, you are going to be out of pocket initially, probably by somewhere between £8,000 and £10,000. However, you're future-proofing the house, doing all the environmental stuff, and over the long term, we'll have a saving compared. Okay? And you also need space for the pump and space for the storage tank. So you've got an internal aspect there, your tank, like the old days when you had an airing cupboard, but also you've got the big machine outside. This is on the smaller scale. Okay, that's quite a small one. It must be at least 1 meter from your boundary, and it's got to be 30 centimeters from your house as well. So you really need the best part of a 2-meter gap, and it can't be within 3 meters of your next door neighbor's bedroom. Okay, why the bedroom, I don't know. Okay, so in summary, obviously you've got a renewable energy source. It's 50 degrees of heat, incredibly easy to use because you just put it on and more or less, like you do with your gas boiler, forget you've got it. And at the moment there is the boiler upgrade scheme to give you 5 grand off it. Okay, thank you very much.